with every ounce of blood in his body or whatever the saying was, but he surely did. He basically was held in contempt. He was almost about to be, punished by the court, and even he wasn't punished until he got like reversed or I think delayed or something like that. And what ended up happening is that this guy was going so hard for Jeffrey, it appears that he was down to even get incarcerated if it meant standing on business. Now, a lot of people know when it comes to lawyers or other people who are just not your family or really just direct relative, they're doing their job. Yeah, they might fuck with you a little bit more. They might go a little harder because you've made them millions of dollars, but they're not going to really risk their freedom and risk their career or reputation for you. And Brian Steele absolutely did that for Young Thug. We got to give him credit. Now, he had a favorable result, even though it wasn't not guilty. The plea deal turned into time served, and even though he got 15 years probation, people unilaterally felt that the state of Georgia got their ass handed to them by the lawyers defending the YSL RICO defendants. Now, the person who did the most of the heavy lifting was Young Thug's lawyer, which was Brian Steele. Now, Diddy, who I'm still a little bit shocked by, his court date hasn't been moved back. Sorry. He's set to go to trial in a few weeks. And we haven't heard him request for a delay. The U.S. prosecutors, the AUSAs, they have said, we're ready to do it. Let's go. They're ready to try to prosecute him. So it looks like it might happen, I believe, in May. That's still the date. Brian Steele has now joined the legal defense team last minute. Sorry. Now, they filed a motion in court, and what this is a pro hac. I always fuck up the Latin thing. Pro hac vice. It's Latin for one time and one time only. I'll show you the meaning. And I don't know why Latin is so big in the courts. Yeah, the literal meaning is for this occasion or for this particular case. It's like one time and one time only. And what it is this is usually what's referred to as an attorney that's in good legal standing in another state that is a member of the bar for that state. If they want to represent a client in another state that they're not licensed or practicing in, they could motion for admission with this thing called pro hac vice, which is one time and one time only, which means, hey, I'm not an attorney in the state, but for this particular case, I'm going to be the attorney. Okay? Now, certain states have different rules, meaning that they might say to you, well, yes, you could be the lawyer if you're valid in another state, but you need to have local counsel too, because we run a little bit different. And rather than getting you up to speed or having errors, we need you to have somebody local to be able to guide you. But yes, you could argue the case. You could do what most lead attorneys would do. So it says, pursuant to Rule 1.3 of the local rules of the United States courts for the Southern and Eastern districts. And by the way, I know this is federal courts, but because he doesn't practice in those districts, actually. And Brian Steele hereby moves this court for an order for admission for practice pro hac vice to appear as counsel for Sean Combs, the defendant in the above captioned action. I'm a member in good standing of the bar of the state of Georgia, and there is no pending disciplinary proceedings against me in any state or federal court. I have never been convicted of a felony. I have never been disbarred or denied admission or readmission by any court. I have been administratively suspended and reinstated and censured, but then vindicated by the courts, and provide the facts and circumstances surrounding the instances in the attached affidavit, blah, blah, blah. So Brian Steele is saying, let me in this bitch. Now, I do think, by the way, there was conversation that Diddy was going to add somebody to the legal team, but he was going to most likely add the guy who helped ASAP Rocky, which was Joe Taco Pina. And, this guy really worked magic. Not only does he talk the talk, like this guy, he did his thing in court. He looks like an Italian mob boss, low key, but he did such a great job in court. He got the jury to really believe this whole fake gun thing. They didn't even give ASAP Rocky gun possession. Like, he literally came in with his theory, which everybody said, oh, hell no, that ain't gonna work. You're gonna get this nigga locked up for 30 years. And essentially, he got him acquitted, right? He got him acquitted. So this guy, right now, he's charging, arm and a leg, and and Brian Steele as well. Give me 1 second. So here's the thing too, and let me get.
Are we about to see another defense attorney?
Oh yeah, I was just talking to. Actually no, is this Sado? No, that's not Sado. That's what's it called? Anyway, I just want to play. I was actually texting. What's my guy's name again? Laura Ronan, which is Bradford Cohen, about this, but not about this particular thing, but about the case. And me and him, we kind of have the same understanding a bit about the case. This is how the Diddy case looks right now. It doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look good. It's kind of still in this like limbo portion. They're realizing there's not much to these civil situations. We haven't seen an enormous amount of victims be introduced, but we still haven't seen co-conspirators, or we haven't seen people who are unindicted, uncharged co-conspirators. It's a RICO charge that's still with one person. We don't know if the conspirators are going to be testifying against him. He would probably know that because he got discovery. However, it's not the best situation for him because it doesn't take a preponderance amount of people to convict him of sex trafficking and RICO sex trafficking. It's clear he had an enterprise or he had an organization, but he would argue that was legal. If the Cassie shit sticks, who gives a fuck about anybody else? He could still go down for that. We don't know about all the niggas who was get paid to fuck, the escorts, male escorts that they're going to testify. We don't know about that. And, it's clear the feds want this case badly because they keep adding new counts every couple of months. And I think that's one of the reasons he's trying to say, you know what, I need to know everything that's ahead of me before, immediately. So that's why they're pushing for a quicker trial date or not delayed it. If the feds delayed it, it would mean probably, they don't really got too much. They're still seeking for more. The feds haven't though. And I think Diddy's trying to say, all right, cool. We're not either. And I personally believe that right before the clock strikes 12, they're going to ask for a extension, but they want to see absolutely everything the feds got on him, and they're going to try to beat it. Anyway, he's added Brian Steele, and this is another attorney who's going to give some opinion on it. Here we go.
Well, the hits keep coming. I mean, I think it's...
Brian, thank you so much for joining me today.
Wait, who is it?
Another defense shakeup as we're just weeks away now from Diddy's high-profile trial. Let's bring on criminal defense attorney Brian McMonagle. Brian, thank you so much for joining me today. What's your reaction to Mark Geragos possibly joining the Diddy defense team?
Well, the hits keep coming. I mean, I think it's a great addition if it is true. Mark is a phenomenal lawyer, brilliant guy, and certainly no stranger to the spotlight. He has handled...
Oh, wow. There's another addition too. So they already have his daughter, which is Tenny Geragos. This is Mark Geragos. Wow. Diddy is spending you got to imagine. So to give you like an idea, all these attorneys got to get up to speed on this case. He has these people for the appellate court. They're working that. He has his people for the main trial, because appellate court stuff, like even if it's an interlocutory appeal, you need people versed in the appellate court system. So the circuit courts, right? And the circuit courts, that's what the appeal courts are, right? In the feds. The district court is just where the regular court is. So you have district, appellate is circuit courts, and then after the circuit courts, you get to Supreme Court. None of these things are going to the Supreme Court. You fucking bitches, they don't care like that. If it's like a thing of is your First Amendment right? Like impeded on, if it's some big situation, somebody got deported that shouldn't have gotten it, interpretation of the law, Supreme Court jumps in. They're not going to jump in on anything with Diddy. Okay. So if anything that he has a problem with or he's trying to appeal during the trial, he's going to go to the circuit court. And after the trial, he's going to take the entire case to the circuit court if it doesn't win. So he has lawyers for the circuit court to work that in the meanwhile, and he has his main lawyers to work the district court. So on his district court case, he has the Agnifilio guy, but he talks too much. He's doing documentaries with fucking TMZ, talking about, I don't know where you got the baby oil from. Like, man, shut the hell up, nigga. Like, that nigga like baby oil, man. What's up with you, man? Then he has this guy's daughter. Now, this guy's a famed attorney. This guy, I believe, was on the OJ case. Also, he's the one who's Chris Brown's lawyer. Everything Chris Brown's been accused of, he handled it. Let me see. Mark Geragos. Right? Yeah, that's him, right? Yeah. Yeah. So Mark Geragos, I think he was on an OJ Simpson. Yeah, so he's one of the dream team. Yeah, he's, that dream team lawyer lineup. He's in it. You got Johnny Cochran, and somewhere he's in it, right? And by the way, Sean Hawley, who represented Tory later, was also in it. Anyway, so Mark Geragos, he's a part of that. I think he also represented, didn't he? O.J. Simpson lawyers. Yes, his legal team was, okay. Wait, I thought Geragos was in this. Maybe I'm tripping. Never mind. No, I was tripping. Who do you represent? Am I tripping? Oh, I am tripping. Yeah, Geragos wasn't a part of that. Where did Geragos get his, because that's how these attorneys do. Like, a hit song for them is like a big case, and then they just get paid like out the ass. You feel what I'm saying? Geragos, Mark. Let me look at his history real quick. He must have had some big cases, career. Notable clients, obviously Chris Brown, but that's not the one he made his shit off. Which one did he make? Yes, you got Chris Brown. It was Colin Kaepernick, but that's not what it. Ooh, Justice Smollett, but that nigga got his ass sent to jail. But vindicated later. Wait. Oh, I don't know why I thought he was a part of the OJ shit. He wasn't. All right, never mind. So he's not one of the dream team lawyers, but he's huge in the LA circuit. He's big in LA. Like, he's helped Chris Brown with a lot of shit, right? So anyway, his daughter is Tenny Geragos. She's already on the case. I guess they're saying we need more help, so they're getting a father now, right? Now, keep in mind, you want to do quick math? On the top attorney, like Diddy's probably billing out at probably from what I'm like, maybe $2,000 an hour. $2,000 an hour per attorney. None of these guys are small fries. So you're paying this guy maybe even $2,500 an hour. Like, they said Taco Pino was charging like $3,500 an hour after the A$AP Rocky shit. It was like, this nigga's just running up the bill. But just imagine that. Imagine $2,000 an hour for Agnifilio. Let's say $1,000 for, well, it's gonna be more. $2,000 for motherfucking his daughter. $2,000 for him. Now you're adding who? Brian Steele. Brian Steele is coming in with at least $25,000 or $3,000 per hour. Bruh. Then you got your fucking lawyers for what are we talking about? You got your lawyers for the appeal, the appellate situation. That's probably another $10,000. Then you have your civil lawyers, right? Then you have your investigators, civil and criminal, because Diddy's probably paying. I wouldn't be surprised if Diddy, let me see, daily, or let's say weekly. I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting built $200,000 weekly, $300,000 by everybody. So all his attorneys combined, investigators, PR, everything to do with this, $300,000 could even be more, $400,000. You know what I'm saying? That's how much money. And I know people say he's gonna be broke. Well, Liquid Diddy supposedly had, remember, he got paid out, how much he got paid out for the Diageo? Diageo pays out Diddy. How much did he get paid out for that? They said he had made $1 billion with them. They never told us what the settlement was. Oh, they say he sold it for $200 million. Let's say he just, you're not going to keep $200 million. Let's say he had $70 million liquid. You got to put that to work. Shit, he sold a house or he's selling a house. He's probably taking out a mortgage, or not a mortgage. He's probably taking out equity out of the house through a bank to use for money. Like, he's like, this is, you know what I mean? Now, there's some people saying that Diddy really dislikes jail. When I talked to 6ix9ine, 6ix9ine said when he went in there, Diddy was just sleeping the whole day looking dumb depressed. Jail is taking a toll on him. He doesn't like it. Obviously, it would take a toll on anybody. But some people also believe he's pushing for the trial to happen sooner than later because he's desperate to get out. He knows he's not going to get bail. He doesn't want to wait. Some people in legal circles say he should wait another year. You get what I'm saying? Because what's happening is it's becoming house of cards for the civil cases. The civil cases are all falling away by the wayside. There's nothing substantial happening, nothing damaging. And the longer and the more we see that might help change people's perception about him to be like, oh, yeah, these people was on, they wasn't on shit. They lied about being there. They lied about that. Oh, it might make you think a little bit different about Diddy, but I hear Diddy do not want to be in jail. He's to the point that they were trying to serve him with like a civil thing, and he was in a cell, and they claimed that he wouldn't get out of his cell. Like, this shit is really taking a toll on him. But you got to imagine the lifestyle he used to live. So now he's actually angling like he's going to trial like in a few weeks, and he's hiring everybody, and we're gonna see what it is. Now, you know what's gonna be very interesting? If you got Brian Steele, Mark Geragos, Mark Agnifilo, who's been arguing for all your shit already, Tenny's been in the back. She did, not in the back, but she's just been at the bench. She argued for a few things. Who actually is going to run this trial? Who's going to run that trial? Or you got to go big boy Brian Steele. But here's the thing, too. You know, I said I don't want to speak ill of any lawyer or speak speculatively. I don't know who has the most federal experience. Most of these guys, they work in the precincts that they're in. Also, Mark is going to be good because even though it's federal, some of these situations happen in LA. So Mark is going to be good on all the LA stuff. He could properly interpret, even though it's not federal law, what's California law when it comes to that, right? Brian Steele, even though there's nothing in Atlanta, Brian Steele has just shown by the general, like, his conviction and how he's able to really work a room and really work not only the jury but also the judge, that he's a really good let's say litigator, but he's a good arguer in terms of trying to pronounce your guilt and also make that be convincing and try every way possible to try to get you a favorable the most favorable trial. So who's going to be the person to lead? So I think that's where we're at with it. Let me play this for a second.
Significantly high-profile cases over as many years, and brings a wealth of experience and I think wisdom to the defense team. If it actually is true that he's joining it, and I think he'd be a perfect fit in a high-profile case like this.
And what do you think he will add to the defense team? Because, you know, Mark Agnifilo, his daughter, Tenny Geragos, not Mark Agnifilo's daughter, Tenny Geragos, but Mark Geragos' daughter, is also on the defense team. Alexandra Shapiro's on the defense team. So it's really a number of high-powered attorneys already on there. But what do you think Mark is going to add if he is going to be that added addition to the team?
You know, that's a really good question. I mean, Mark is a really able trial lawyer, an excellent cross-examiner. Whether they're bringing him in just to quarterback or to, you know, just play a role. You know, you remember the Simpson case and how you had all of these really wonderful lawyers assembled. And then really at the last minute, it became Johnny Cochran, who was the quarterback of the case and whose jury it was. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. You know, you get a lot of egos, you get a lot of different kinds of lawyers, and it'll be interesting to see who calls the ball on that. But, you know, Mark Agnifilo, who's been in this from the beginning, is a brilliant lawyer. I'm sure Mark will orchestrate it in a way where, you know, he blends everybody's best in order to try and, you know, best serve Mr. Combs.
And I've kind of been following his analysis that he's been doing when it comes to his interviews with TMZ, especially on the Two Angry Men podcast that they have together with Harvey Levin. And Mark Geragos and Diddy have known each other for years. That's what he said, according to the podcast. Do you think it's possible that Diddy personally asked Mark Geragos to help represent him?
I don't doubt it for a second. I mean, you know, Mark has been really out there swinging the bat for Mr. Combs in the media, being a advocate for him in the media, and people pay attention to that. I've seen in cases before where lawyers aren't involved in a case, and they're out there on the media circuit really punching for them, and a client will say, you know what, I want that guy. I want that guy as part of my team. He's been out there fighting for me. Plus, there's a past relationship. His partner obviously has been involved in Diddy's representation. So it's surprising it didn't happen sooner. And I hope for Diddy's sake that Diddy makes that decision, because he'll be adding a really good lawyer to a group of really good lawyers.
And I'm interested to know your thoughts. Do you think that Mark Geragos may come off a little too Hollywood for a New York jury?
Well, I mean, I think the nice thing about it is, Mark has brought his game to the road. I mean, he's a California lawyer, but he's been all over the country.
I was trying to see them talk about Brian Steele. Where's the Brian Steele conversation? Because I think he's they said Diddy looks different.
Sean Diddy Combs was back in court, not only facing one particular alleged.
For some reasons that I'm sure we'll get into in just a little bit.
So just to be clear, he had like white hair, like a white beard.
Not a white beard this time.
Not a white beard.
Damn, they ain't let my boy Diddy dye his beard?
And Tenny Geragos, but he sat right beside his attorneys, hugged her, kind of was chugging water in between, but seemed kind of in good spirits. There wasn't any family there, but from my understanding, it was kind of a last-minute hearing. Originally, everything was supposed to be handled on Friday. Instead, it was moved to Monday for some reasons that I'm sure we'll get into in just a little bit.
So just to be clear, he had like white hair, like a white beard.
Not a white beard this time.
Not a white beard.
He shaved the face. He had a little goatee, but
okay.
the goatee was still white gray.
Did he gain any weight?
He has put on a couple pounds, and if you're in prison, or excuse me, in a detention center for a while, and you're, stuck with like honey buns or canned fish or like food that's not necessarily the healthiest, as opposed to eating from like 5-star chefs or anything like that. He did put on a couple pounds, especially from the December hearing. I feel like the December hearing, it was kind of after the shock of being in a detention center for a couple months. Now it's like, okay, he's settled in, he's put on the weight back. So
how was his demeanor from what you could tell?
His demeanor seemed very, I always kind of get a little apprehensive saying uplifted, because who is uplifted being in a detention center for months on end, coming into a courtroom and seeing that your family's not there or anything like that. But Diddy's never going to show that he's not confident in any aspect, knowing that a lot of people are watching him. You can bet that he probably may have watched a couple sidebars, may have read a couple articles about what people are saying about him when it comes to how he's appearing. So it kind of feels like before every court hearing, Mark Agnifilo or whoever the attorney may be that goes outside kind of speaks to Diddy before the judge comes in and everything like that. So maybe it's a pep talk that he's giving behind those closed doors. I'm unaware of what really those conversations are, but you're never going to see Diddy slipping, especially when eyes are on him.
And you talk about the conversations he has with his attorneys. There's been a lot of reports that Mark Geragos, the acclaimed celebrity attorney, is now joining Combs' defense team. Was he in court? Any word that he's a part of the team officially?
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, because I was actually working on a story for Law and Crime News about it. And
everybody check it out.
Yes, everyone check it out. So that's what I was kind of wanting to see whenever I walked inside the courtroom today. But it was just Tenny. It was just,
wait,
by the way, about it. And
everybody check it out. Officially joining. A lot of reports that Mark Geragos, the acclaimed celebrity attorney, is now joining Combs' defense team. Was he in court? Any word that he's a part of the team officially?
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, because
All right, I'm trying to get some info on that. I guess they filed that late yesterday. He did show up to court, got arraigned for the new charges. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right, my people. Diddy, Brian Steele, Mark Geragos, Mark Agnifilo, Tenny Geragos, and that's only the team for the criminal federal RICO case. We still have his appellate lawyers, and we still have, I forgot who he got on the appellate team. Diddy appellate lawyers. cameras. Oh my God, I can't. Oh, he hired Alexander Shapiro and Antonio El Rishi. He withdrew. Okay.
Meanwhile, defense attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs are considering requesting a 2-week delay in his sex trafficking and racketeering trial. This comes after the hip-hop mogul pled not guilty to additional charges filed against him in another superseding indictment yesterday. Now, Combs' attorneys are raising issues with getting access to evidence from the government, accusing prosecutors of withholding emails and messages from a key witness. ABC.
Okay. By the way, also, I don't think I ever covered this. Cassie will be testifying. This is no cameras in the courtroom. So, witnesses and victims of like DV or, sexual assault or anything like that, they could testify under anonymity to the public. So, of course, Diddy has a right to know who it is. Obviously, he would see the person in court. But it would be... that person would be listed in a transcript as Jane Doe, and any identifying things would be redacted for the record to keep that person, out of the public sphere. But apparently, Cassie's cool with just testifying. Like, she gonna sit in front of Diddy. They're not gonna call her. She's listed as Jane Doe right now in the indictment, but she's gonna essentially be called Cassandra Ventura. She's going to point at Diddy. She's going to do all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Cassie, Diddy testifying. And I think that's going to be super interesting. Let's see if I could find.
Can you believe we're just about degrading and humiliating on gas?
Story of physical and sexual violence and sex trafficking. And I think the prosecution, at least, they believe they have enough to
Right.
cases, but we've sued a lot of people in the entertainment industry. We sued Kanye, Lizzo, Jason Derulo. We just got a big verdict against Soulja Boy. So, we sued Takeoff for sexual assault before he passed away. So I understand the psychology of a victim, and oftentimes they don't want to come forward.
What the fuck? Who is this nigga? This nigga's over here just dropping names. What the fuck?
Because
Crucial, especially Cassie's testimony. Again, we're just 5 cents back. Nima Rahmani. Nima, always great to see you. Federal prosecutor, 5 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas.
I'm just trying to see who this guy is.
I'm joined now by attorney, former federal prosecutor, and president and co-founder of West Coast Trial Lawyers. That's Mr. Nima Rahmani. Nima, always great to see you, and thank you so much for being here today. We've had a lot of discussions about victim 1 in the indictment against Diddy. We know that's Cassie.
Oh, they got
also
listed victim 1.
2, 3, and 4. We don't know who they are, and they won't be testifying using their real names. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, Cassie is obviously the star witness in the case, and she's the one who broke this whole investigation open when she filed her own civil lawsuit in November 2023. She was not only a victim, but she was a witness to a lot of the other victims who participated in the freak-offs. She was romantically involved with Diddy for more than a decade. So there's no surprise in the original indictment when she was the only victim who was identified. And obviously, there is corroboration of her account, as we've all seen the video of her being beaten at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. But the prosecution wants more, and what they've done is they've chosen who they believe are their best victims in terms of testimony. Obviously, they're not going to put 100 victims on the stand, but they do want several that are going to tell the same story of physical and sexual violence and sex trafficking.
So Diddy got a new lawyer, Bradford Cohen, the one who represented Young Thug. And I really want to know, how much is Diddy paying for his legal defense team? Like, it has to be at least 5 to 10 mil that he's paying for this legal defense team, which I understand it. Your life is on the line, basically. Man, I genuinely feel bad for Diddy, kind of, because like, let's keep it a bean. Like, okay, if there's underage kids involved, I don't feel bad. Anyone underage, I don't feel bad. If there's anyone being drugged and stuff happening against their will, I don't feel bad. But I'm not gonna lie, like, I don't know if you guys ever heard about the allegations of the women who get flown out to like places like Dubai and pissed and shit on for like 50K. If women are going by will to these places knowing what's gonna happen and it happens to them, should we necessarily feel bad for them? Like, that's part of like where my head's at on these kind of situations. Like the Cassie thing, I understand that she was getting abused, but everybody else, bro, come on. Like, I don't know. But yeah, let me know how you guys feel about everything. It's your boy Big Act News. Either it's free Diddy or keep Diddy. It doesn't really matter to me. Let me know how you guys feel about everything in the comments below, and I'm out.